Welcome, everybody, to a new episode of the Pondcast. Today's episode, Battle at the Pond, Squawkabilly. I'm your host, Draco, and joining me today is my co-host, Guren.
Hello.
And joining us once again, the last champion, Spirit.
Spirit is with you.
And for those joining us for the first time, our Battle at the Pond series is where we take a serious look at different Pokemon and come up with ways of using them that can fit for either competitive play or for just casual play. Just our way of sparking creativity on how to train Pokemon and showing that there's no real wrong way to train one. And let's get into it. So, starting off, Squawkabilly is a normal flying type Pokemon from the Gen 9 region of Paldea. Being a flying normal type Pokemon, it takes 2 times damage from rock, electricity, and ice, half damage from bug and grass, and no damage from ground or ghost typing. And the unique thing about Squawkabilly is that it comes in 4 different plumages: green, blue, yellow, and white. And depending on what plumage you've chosen will determine what hidden ability it gets. Its abilities are Intimidate, Hustle, and if you have the green or blue plumage, you have Guts as the hidden ability, but if you have the yellow or white plumage, you have Sheer Force as its hidden ability. Its base stats are 417, with its HP at 82, attack at 96, defense at 51, special attack at 45, special defense at 51, and a speed of 92.
Alright, so I actually got my blue plumage one. Pretty nice and blue. Blends in with the sky, makes it a true hunter. I went also with the blue plumage because it gives it the Guts hidden ability, and that'll allow it to boost its stats when it's either burned or poisoned thanks to the toxic or flame orb that I have it holding. And this combined with the ability to use Tailwind, I gave it really a lower focus on its speed when I chose its nature and its EVs, choosing to focus on its HP and attack, maxing those out before I spent the last of my EV points on speed. And I even went with a Jolly Nature. Roost really lets it heal up after it gets blasting with its Brave Bird, and Facade will definitely deal out that damage, yet again capitalize on holding the Toxic and Flame Orb.
Ooh. Yeah, I didn't even think about that one when I thought about mine.
Squawkabilly goes rock.
Yeah.
You know, like when I first saw this bird, I was a little bit surprised because I didn't know its abilities at all, because I caught one. Never gonna use you, going straight in the box. Did not even try to imagine what kind of stuff it had. And then after looking it up and then hearing what you did, I was like, oh my god, this bird is actually a lot better than what I was expecting.
In one or two ways.
Yeah, so the whole thing with the guts and maxing out I think literally just making a straight physical sweeper kind of thing was it's too good. It's too good. Especially the way you went about it. It's
Hey, Blue Gang wins.
Blue Gang. So actually what I did was I looked at it in a doubles perspective. So first off, I chose the green one, and I actually went with the Intimidate ability, and I actually made it more of a support for doubles. I maxed out its defense and special defense, and then everything else in HP, and then I went with U-turn, parting shot, tailwind, and then quick attack. And the item of choice, this one, I was having a hard time trying to think between either putting down Focus Sash or my final pick, the eject button. So it's really just more on being an annoyance of just being able to switch it in and out when after setting up a tailwind, and then just proccing the Intimidate, hopefully no competitive mon on the other side. And yeah, so you're just getting those off, hopefully being able to switch out to another better mon afterwards, lowering special attack as a possibility as well at the parting shot, and then when that's all said and done and used up, just have a little bit of a priority move to, maybe might need it for something. I was also thinking about putting Air Slash there, so that is another option as well. I mean, if you're more interested in getting a flinch off instead, but instead of doing a little bit more damage, but not like quick attacks can do as much damage either.
Honestly, I was over here cheering, especially when I heard eject button. The only difference between that and what I considered one of my more joking things, because I didn't think of 2v2, was I chose yellow plumage, because I figured the build that I had the eject button, it used U-turn and parting shot. This thing was all about running away, and it just made me happy to see that Guren not only was in a similar thought process with creating that, but also found a great use for it.
I have to agree. Like I was looking at the intimidate, and you could really capitalize with parting shot in place of the eject button, because this way you'll at least lower attack stats even further on top of the intimidate. But I could see this bird being an interesting support Pokemon in that respect for 2v2.
Oh, I forgot to say, I also went with an impish nature, just in case.
Oh, see, I thought about adamant just to get that extra damage in, but actually probably Jolly would be better to speed it up.
I like for me. Now here's the funny thing, X, you and I kind of started going into similar directions, and you achieved what I was going for because I hadn't thought about it. But I went with the green plumage Squawkabilly and gave it the ability Hustle because of the fact that I didn't need to worry about having that status in order for the boost to already hit, and instead I'd be sacrificing accuracy. But there's a couple of really high accuracy moves that Squawkabilly gets that quite honestly would probably make up for that. I gave it the item the Shell Bell because I figured if it's going to be doing some serious damage, I'd want to be able to recover outside of just needing to roost. But I did choose roost as a supplemental healing, but I gave it the moves Brave Bird for the high damage, the stab, and again, running off of Hustle, which increases the damage to that as well. I also gave it Aerial Ace since it ignores accuracy checks. Aerial Ace would actually always hit, and with a base damage of 60, you're talking about a 120 power after stab and Hustle. So that's pretty respectable, I think, for a move that doesn't require an accuracy check at all. And the last one I gave it was if I have to get that bird out of harm's way, using U-turn to get it out and swap it into another Pokemon waiting in the line. I cranked up its HP and its attack for the use of the Shell Bell. And the last bit I dumped into speed, and I also made it a Jolly Nature because again, it's a pretty quick Pokemon, and I wanted to keep capitalizing on that speed.
Actually, it sounds pretty good. You went like you pointed out, a very aggressive thing using the Hustle, and I saw that, but I have terrible luck in terms of RNG in video games, and I can't afford to lose any accuracy, so I could not take that path. But if you want to flip those coins, flip them away, Barrel Dragon.
Yeah, I also was looking away from the Hustle too, because like I mean, I want to say like I'm kind of used to using Hustle only because of like the High Dragon line, because that's kind of like how they start off too, like always relying on Hustle and having that damage. I never thought about using it at all, but like since you put in that move Aerial Ace, yeah, you said it doesn't miss or anything, so it's like okay, so that works just fine because like you're still getting that stab move, it doesn't miss, so like there you go, so you're getting that little power boost. I'm not sure what the calcs are for that, but that's already pretty good. And then just the fact that you also went with like just making it Jolly Nature as well, while still putting it in like focusing more on the physical sweeping side is also pretty good. And I feel like it matches the Pokemon in a sense, like thematically, like Hustle and like the whole it's got like that pompadour look going for it, so like I think it kind of like matches a little bit too.
Yeah, I think the entire line is based on like some of the old Japanese gangs and stuff, like early Yakuza. Similar if you've watched, I believe it was, Shaman King. They had Rio, who is all about his pompadour, and like it eventually gets cut into like two. It's very interesting the way that they incorporate these very thug-like style into some of these Pokemon.
Yeah, I have to admit, and the funny thing is that if you look at the shinies for all of the birds, the pompadour's like pink. I was just saying that it just stands out a little bit more because it's pink.
Oh, I was gonna say like that's also a modern thing I've seen in media where you got like the bright pink or rose sort of color hair, especially with the undershave and stuff like that.
Now I'll tell you what, I might actually end up getting a blue one and getting it shiny and calling it Kuwabara. Just because it reminds me of Kuwabara, especially like I was sitting here racking my brains trying to figure out why Sheer Force is on here, because like Sheer Force moves with secondary effects increase in power by 30% but lose their secondary effects.
It has none.
Actually, that's not true. It has 3. All 3 are special attacks.
Yeah. Oh man.
And the problem is that its special attack is its lowest stat. But so imagine if you had a nasty plot user that could baton pass into Squawkabilly, and it's set up for sheer force and just nothing but special attack damage with that speed. No one would see it coming. Everyone would be thinking, oh, let's get the defensive wall, and all of a sudden this thing just starts tearing into you with Hurricane, with Air Slash, with Heat Wave, and it just goes to town. Because those 3 moves in specific are not low damage moves. Those are already high damage moves to begin with, and you're tacking an additional 30% on top of that. And even though Squawkabilly's special attack stat is only 45, that's still a lot of damage that you're going to have to deal with. And it's going to get stabbed off of Air Slash and Hurricane.
Okay, well, you want to hear my frustrated build for this thing?
Yes.
I decided that this thing just contradicted itself in so many ways. It wanted to be a different Pokemon. So I still gave it the guts just for the sake of it, but it's holding a mirror herb so it can copy whatever stats. It's the white plumage bird, normal Terra type. I gave it the Mimic, the Copycat, Protect, and Torment, just to kind of make sure they're changing up their moves so you have options with the copying stats. Yet again, the HP and attack speed, build in EVs, and Jolly Nature. This thing's really just meant to toy with people and use their own strategies against them, and hopefully, irk them enough to just not play as well.
This bird has some interesting moves. I don't really see this being the kind of Pokemon that you would definitely run mainline. It feels more support or surprise.
This is the type of Pokemon that I run until I get my Dragonite. Unless you absolutely adore the Pompadour Parakeet, this is what gets you to your Terra type, extreme speed, Dragon Dancing Dragonite.
Between Parting Shot, between Tailwind, it's got some really good screw the opponent's team over.
But does it do this better than any other Pokemon that get at roughly the same time?
Yeah, I think
that's true. It's got like that thing where it's like, you could get it, but there's something else that does it but better, Like
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Although I do think the surprise special attacker would have an insane benefit when you toss in the Terra Blast and go into a Terra typing that nobody would expect for you to go into for this particular bird. I think that right there is where it's going to be its best fit, if not in a support role, in definitely the surprise role. Because if you think about it, who is going to run a special attack Squawkabilly? Seriously, like who in their right mind would even run one if they put one on a team at all? Nobody would see it coming. Sheer force with, say, Life Orb and just go to town.
Yeah, you know what? That makes a very good point too. Like now that, because I'm looking at another 2v2 perspective, since it does get Hurricane, you can literally set it up with like a rain setter as well. So like Hurricane won't miss either. So
that's
yeah.
cool. Can we just talk about how this Rainbow Parakeet should have definitely evolved? Like 100%, I feel like it should have turned into Bombardier. I could have definitely seen them turning that into an evolution of them somehow.
Yeah, give it a bigger Pompadour too. I want that.
No, I want the split Pompadour. I want the dual Pompadour that Ryu had in Shaman King.
Yeah, I could also work with that. That would also work.
And then being a dark flying type, having a split Pompadour would look like Oni or Devil Horns. That would look so cool. Dark flying type, and then it throws rocks because it's a rock and roll bird.
Yeah.
Pokemon should have just hired all of us.
No, you know what? Give it a gunk shot and make it a greaser.
Yes.
Maybe instead of a bigger Pompadour, it's got a tighter back Pompadour. It's a back Pompadour now.
This bird could use a little bit of love, but I think if you think outside of the box with this particular Pokemon, I think you're gonna find it's better niche. It's not designed really for a big straight up beat down bird. It doesn't have the defense for it. It doesn't have it really doesn't have the defenses for it. And since it doesn't evolve, you can't take advantage of Eviolite to get it to stay in there. However, as a surprise Pokemon, I think this is where it might have its moment of shine.
So you want to pull a Pachirisu with it?
Oh,
yes.
let's not even go there.
Surprise factor.
That goes back to what I was saying about how this feels like it's trying to be a different Pokemon. Is everything that I was looking other than this Guts build, there was so much of it against making that build that it felt contrary. I'm still saying this should have been dark. This should have been Gen 9's card.
Yeah, I think so.
And then you should have had the Bombardier. It should have been, instead of that whatever weird bib thing that it has, that it should have had a black color scheme with the white under for the chest, so it looks like the white wife beater with the black leather jacket, and give it either the split pompadour or the tight slick back grease look. And there you go. You have your Johnny for your grease, and then you even have the Reveroom for Grease Lightning. We have a whole story
Yeah.
we can.
Oh my god, they have like that what is that relationship between like two species when they're actually helping each other out? Oh my god.
Yeah.
Symbiotic,
And
yeah.
Pokemon just dropped the ball on this.
Oh my god.
There's a lot of so close with this generation. It's ridiculous. And with that, brings our episode to a close. What are your thoughts about Squawkabilly? What do you think about our builds that we've presented to you today? Let us know down below. Also, be sure to share, like, and subscribe. Let us know how we're doing. And also, be sure to check out Last Champion Spirit on his channel with the links down below. And as always, have a great day. Bye.
See you next time.
Bye. Oh my god, I just realized this thing gets Final Gambit.
Did he just segue his goodbye?
He totally did. He totally did.